Hello again, everyone. Edwin Laird back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be talking about, in my opinion, the worst synastry aspects in astrology. Now, the first one I really comes to mind is Moon conjunct Saturn, somebody's moon making a conjunction to the other person's Saturn. Now, the Saturn person may put a little bit of a clamp on the moon person's the way they feel. They might make that person feel a little bit despondent or melancholy, and the Saturn person maybe may feel that the moon person might be too sensitive, too emotional. And I think too the Saturn person might think that the moon person is showing maybe too much sensitivity toward them, and it might exasperate them, even though the moon's and person's intentions might not be malicious. Now, it's interesting. I had a friend one time that I had my moon in Gemini made a conjunction to his Saturn in Gemini. Now, I thought what was interesting about this, there was one incident. He had certain issues with mobility, and keep in mind, Saturn was in Gemini, so I mean, I think there was a connection with that as far as the mobility, maybe limitations in terms of him moving and getting around from point A to point B. And one time he slipped, and I tried to help him up, and he got a little bit exasperated at me and said, "Well, hey, why do people have to overcompensate?" In other words, he felt like he could get up on his own. He didn't need my assistance. So I think that's a good example right there. Now, another bad aspect, I think, synastry aspect in astrology is when one's ascendant makes an adverse aspect to another person's ascendant. In other words, if you have someone's ascendant making a square opposition or even an inconjunct to the other person's ascendant, this could show, obviously, first impressions might not be good between these two people. You talk about a possible outer personality conflict, outer demeanor conflict. This could be it right here. We take somebody that has, somebody that has a Taurus ascendant making a square aspect to another person's Aquarius ascendant. I mean, you could have, with Taurus, ascendant person might be seen as overly boring, monotonous, and you look at the Taurus person might see the Aquarius person as overly unpredictable and a little bit too radical for the Taurus person. So that is one thing to look at as an example. So, and the thing too is you could even take another example. I mean, look at, say somebody has a Sagittarius ascendant and it squares the other person's Pisces ascendant. But you don't just have the personality, outer demeanor conflict going on. I mean, even you look at the energy levels. I mean, the ascendant rules the physical body, and it's very strongly connected with that person's energy as well, and constitution energy. Sagittarius could be very exuberant, enthusiastic, and have a very strong vitality, where Pisces could actually be more lethargic and more stagnant in their constitution. Their vitality is really generally not that strong on average, in contrast to a Sagittarius. So you could see how this could actually be rather incompatible. Now, another very bad synastry aspect, I think, is when somebody's moon makes an adverse aspect to the other person's Pluto. I mean, you could have a lot of emotional manipulation really strongly by the Pluto person to the moon person. You might have where the moon person might be so fixated and mesmerized by the Pluto person that they're basically allowing this to actually happen too. And you could have a lot of power conflicts and struggles with this synastry aspect as well. So anyway, well, let's take another one that I really don't like as far as an astrological synastry aspect goes, is somebody's ascendant, Sun, or Mars making a conjunction to the other person's south node. Now, the south node person might dissipate or deplete the energy level of the ascendant, Sun, or Mars person. And the thing about it too is on the other side of the coin, well, the ascendant, I mean, let's take the sun. The sun person might shine the light on those south node. I mean, the south node is connected often with our natural attributes and abilities. The sun person might shine the light on it, but that's really bring it out. But that's not necessarily good, because the person is generally, you're trying to get away from the south node energy to some degree, and use more of your north node energy. I mean, you could incorporate the south node energy a little bit into the north node, but you're really trying to strongly get away from it and maybe use a little bit of your south node energy with the north node. So, and also, another example, though, the Mars person might feel give that person a lot of energy in terms of things connected with their south node, and fuel that person in terms of giving them some vitality, that energy to accomplish things connected with their south node, but their south node sign. But the thing about it is, that's another thing where you need to try to get. I mean, the south node, as I stated before, is what you're trying to get away from strongly, and at least, I mean, for the most part, and use more of your north node energy while just incorporating a little bit of the south node into the north node. So those, I mean, for those reasons, this could be a rather negative synastry aspect. And even if, let's say, as I talked about the energy depletion before, even if it's in that sign of Leo, which could be known for nearly inexorable energy, even if the person, let's say, has the ascendant sun or Mars in Leo making a conjunction the person's south node, you could feel that energy being zapped to some degree. And imagine if the ascendant Sun or Mars is in Cancer or Pisces, and it's a sign that's not, those signs are not exactly known for robust vitality. You get the idea. They would probably feel it worse than the other signs. So as far as the energy dissipation thing goes. So anyway, well, another bad synastry aspect, very bad synastry aspect, I think, is the Mars conjunct the moon. I think when you look at Mars, the Mars person might cause acrimonious emotional responses from the moon person. It could really cause, them to get them really upset and irate. And the Mars person might get upset for maybe having to constantly be catering to the moon person's emotional needs, and they might see the moon person as someone that's overly temperamental and maybe in really giving, maybe more sensitive than what they should be, and in terms of the way they respond to their actions. So I mean, depending on the sign, I mean, imagine if there's Mars in Aquarius making a conjunction to someone's Aquarius moon, you'd have all this unpredictable actions, would cause a very strong reaction from the perhaps strong reactions. And keep in mind, the moon is reactionary and responsive, so you get a very strong, even emotional but yet unpredictable emotional responses from that Aquarius moon person. Now, next one I want to talk about is Venus. Let's say someone's Venus is making an adverse aspect to someone's Saturn. Let's say the person's Venus is making a square opposition or even an inconjunct to the other person's Saturn. Well, the Venus person might feel that the Saturn person is prohibiting them from expressing fun and enjoyment. The Saturn person, although they may feel inundated with responsibility to maybe the Venus person's fun and amusement, or even they might even be inundated with responsibility toward their monetary needs. Let's take I think a good example. Let's say somebody has Venus in Leo and it makes a square to a person's Saturn in Taurus. Well, the Saturn person and Taurus person might wind up working very vigorously and laboriously, a lot of persistent energy, to maybe having to keep up with the Venus and Leo person's extravagant spending habits and winding up having to take care of some of their bills due to their extravagant spending habits. So anyway, well, another very bad synastry aspect, I think, is someone's Jupiter at making a conjunction to someone's Saturn. I mean, I understand Jupiter is a very benevolent and benign planet, but it's also paradoxical, can also have a tendency to enlarge and inflate things, and I mean, and expand out. The Jupiter person might very well enlarge the Saturn person's responsibilities. The Saturn person may restrict the Jupiter's person's their effervescence, their exuberance and enthusiasm, and the Jupiter person may also exacerbate that Saturn person's restrictions. And I'm not saying it's all bad. I know there can be some good things with this because Jupiter can be very benign. They could actually maybe the Jupiter person might actually in some cases be helpful to a situation where the Saturn person has some restriction or limitation or some debilitation. The Jupiter person might actually be very helpful in working with that Saturn person in connection with their restrictions, some mobility restriction, for example. They might help them get them to the store and give them rides and help them with transportation, for example. So, I mean, I understand there is a good side of that one as well. Now, last but not least, someone's Mercury making an adverse aspect to the other person's Mercury. And this could be something where you could have a lot of miscommunications, a lot of things that are misconstrued, and a lot of statements that might be ambiguous, and you're really not really sure what the person actually means in a lot of cases. So, and I mean, this can also different ways of handling things. Let's say you take somebody that has a Mercury in Taurus making a square to the other person's Mercury in Aquarius. Well, the Mercury in Aquarius person, of course, might have their ideas, their way of doing things might be more ingenious and be more creative, while the Taurus Mercury person might be stuck in the things that they are accustomed to doing, the way they've always handled things previously, the true and the tried. And example could be, I mean, say someone's in a retail store, and you're trying to find a way to get this big massive item up to the front of the store, and that one pallet jack won't do it. Well, it might be a case where you might be able to use, Aquarius Mercury person might say, okay, I'm going to use 2 of these pallet jacks, and I'm going to find a way, get one person on one end of one pallet jack, the other person on the other, and we're going to find a way to team up and get this up there that way. While the Mercury and Taurus person might just say, you know what, I'll get one end of this item, the other person will get the other end, and we'll just carry it right up there by hand, the 2 of us. And I mean, Aquarius will often think, Mercury and Aquarius might often think of some ways that a lot of other people won't. I'm not saying, I mean, those ideas, those methods might both work, though, what I said. So anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment for what I believe are the worst synastry aspects in astrology. Stay tuned next time, where I'll be continuing my series on the zodiac signs and enemies. 2 things I want to get with you on before I head out. Firstly, the stars may impel, but do not compel. And secondly, never isolate any single astrological element, aspect, planetary placement, position, configuration, influence, or what have you, and make an analysis of a person, astrologically speaking, based on this alone, because astrologically speaking, the person is the sum of all their components in their natal chart, and not just one. Until next time, people, stay well.